Yesterday, a senior official from Department of Health and Human Services released one of most important announcements ever made at federal level regarding cannabis ban. The agency has officially recommended that cannabis be moved from Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substances Act, which is a classification of drugs with high potential for abuse and not considered medicinal value, to the much less restrictive Schedule 3. United States, October 8. A cannabis-themed U.S. flag flies as activists hold rally in the U.S. The Capitol on Tuesday, October 8, 2019, will call for Congress to pass the Cannabis Reform Bill. CQ Roll Call. Inc. Via CQ Roll Call. Inc. First, we must acknowledge this is truly historic announcement, marking the first time in modern history that a major government agency has admitted marijuana has been misclassified as dangerous substance of abuse. This was result of an investigation that lasted almost a year, representing one of most thorough investigations federal government has ever conducted on matter. In near term, this won't have a big impact on cannabis industry because D will now have to do its own review and decide whether to follow HHS recommendation. It also does not legalize marijuana. State-licensed cannabis businesses will continue to violate federal law. But given that this review of the HHS was requested by President Biden himself, it seems likely that marijuana will move into Plan 3 next year, most likely before the 2024 presidential election. So what does this mean for the cannabis industry in the long run? A lot is still unknown today. But assuming the D follows HHS's advice, a big and immediate impact will be that 280E will no longer be applicable to cannabis businesses. Section 280E of the IRS tax code treats state-licensed marijuana as if they were drug traffickers under federal law and forbids these businesses from claiming standard business deductions available to all in America. It has become arguably the biggest financial burden in the cannabis industry. However, Tax Code 280E applies only to Schedule 1 and 2 items by moving cannabis to Schedule 3. It would remove one of the biggest barriers to profitability that cannabis businesses face today. This effect cannot be underestimated. At a time when cannabis industry is facing severe price squeeze and increasing competition, tightening margins to point where profits are nearly impossible for most businesses, eliminating 280E would be arguably single most effective federal reform for cannabis industry ever to happen, while rescheduling won't up open access corporate banking and lending, something Congress tried do but failed do through Safe Banking Act. Elimination of 280E could well up new sources of capital, particularly new lenders, enter space. First, move marijuana from most restrictive class of drugs to less restrictive Schedule 3, a clear signal for investors sitting on sidelines that federal government is easing its stance and are